You are holding a photograph of yourself as a toddler. You are sitting in a high chair, covered in spaghetti, grinning at a camera. You know it is you. You recognize the features, but you have zero memory of the event. You don't remember the taste of the sauce, the temperature of the room, or even who was standing behind the lens. This is the phenomenon of childhood amnesia. It is the universal experience of having a total blank spot in your autobiography for the first 3 to 4 years of your life. Why is your brain such a sophisticated filing cabinet for everything that happened yesterday, yet a total black hole for your own infancy? The answer isn't just one thing. It is a collision of biological, neurological, and linguistic development. For a long time, psychologists thought infants simply lacked the ability to form memories. That is wrong. We now know that babies can remember things. In the 1980s, researcher Carolyn Rovagian performed a famous experiment. She placed a mobile above a baby's crib and tied a ribbon from the baby's ankle to the mobile. The infant quickly learned that kicking their leg made the mobile spin. Even at 2 months old, babies remembered this trick for up to 2 days. By 6 months, they could retain the memory for weeks. So, the hardware works. The baby is recording data. The problem is the storage format. Think of your brain like a hard drive. To keep a file forever, you need a stable operating system. In early infancy, the brain's hippocampus is still under construction. The hippocampus is the primary command center for declarative memory, or the what, where, and when of our lives. In adults, this area is packed with mature neurons. In a newborn, it is still developing. Specifically, neurogenesis, the process of creating new neurons, is happening at a breakneck speed. Some scientists hypothesize that this rapid growth is actually the culprit. When you cram a room with new furniture, you have to throw out the old stuff to make space. In the infant brain, the constant surge of new cells may be disrupting the neural circuits that store early experiences. It is a biological trade-off. You sacrifice your early childhood memories to build the high-capacity neural network you need for adult intelligence. But biology is only half the battle. Even if you kept those early files, you wouldn't be able to open them. Why? Because you didn't have the software. You didn't have language. Before you learned to speak, your brain encoded the world through sensory data. You stored the smell of your mother, the warmth of a blanket, or the feeling of being held. These are procedural or emotional memories. They are deep, subconscious, and incredibly powerful, but they are not narrative. They are not stories you can replay in your head like a movie. Psychologists call this the language gap. To remember a specific event, you need to be able to tag it with a verbal label. You need to tell yourself a story about what happened. Once a child begins to use words like I, me, and mine, their ability to store autobiographical memories explodes. This usually happens around age 3. Language gives you a structure. It turns raw sensory inputs into a coherent plot. Without language, the memory is like a file with a corrupted header. You have the data, but your search bar can't find it. Consider the cultural differences. Researchers have found that children raised in cultures that emphasize personal storytelling tend to recall memories from earlier ages than children raised in cultures that focus more on social harmony or collective behavior. This suggests that memory isn't just a biological recording, it is a learned social skill. We learn how to remember by watching our parents recount the day's events. We learn to turn life into a narrative. There is also the matter of synaptic pruning. During your first few years, your brain creates trillions of connections. It is an era of radical exploration. But the brain is an efficiency machine. By age 5 or 6, the brain begins to ruthlessly cut away the connections it doesn't use. It is a use it or lose it system. The memories that aren't reinforced by frequent retrieval or narrative structure are simply pruned away to save energy. So you are left with a massive void. But is it really empty? Look at your personality. Look at your phobias. Look at how you respond to stress or comfort. Even if you cannot consciously recall the what or the where of your infancy, your brain is still shaped by the how. You may not remember the face of the person who cared for you or the house you lived in, but your brain has encoded the emotional security or insecurity of those early years into your fundamental architecture. We are all built on a foundation we cannot see. We spend our lives building skyscrapers of personality and identity on a plot of land we can never revisit. We are the survivors of our own early history. The person you are today is a direct descendant of a toddler who didn't know their name, didn't know their language, and didn't know they were alive. Perhaps it is for the best. If you remembered every sensation, every confusion, and every helplessness of your infancy, your adult consciousness might be overwhelmed by the sheer, uncurated volume of existence. Forgetting is not a failure of the brain. Forgetting is a feature. It is the mechanism that allows us to focus on the present. So, the next time you struggle to recall your childhood, don't feel like you are missing a piece of yourself. You aren't missing the data. You are just living proof that your brain chose to prioritize the future over the past. You are the only person who can write the chapters you remember, but you are also the only person who can live the chapters you don't. Does the memory make the person, or does the person make the memory? Maybe we are better off without the baggage of being a baby, and instead we are defined entirely by what we choose to remember tomorrow.